Ladies and gentlemen, the plans and preparations for a communist revolution of force and violence are far advanced. The organization behind these preparations has almost unlimited financial resources, and it provides both training and leadership based upon years of experience in many other countries. Our enemies are deadly serious about their task, and it's nothing short of national suicide for us to continue to ignore their plans and their progress. The strategy of the proletarian revolution calls for the quiet conversion of our government into a communist regime, but under the banner of socialism. What has all this to do with the communist revolution in America? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it has everything to do with it, because the building of socialism is the communist revolution in America. It represents the process whereby our country can be moved gradually toward communism without the people even being aware of it. No matter what grievance we may have, real or imagined, no matter what national problems we may face, the communists seize upon these as excuses to build socialism. They have one and only one solution for all problems: more government, and then more and more until it's total government.
Now we can see a new world coming into view. A world in which there is the very real prospect of a new world order.
After 1989, President Bush said, and it's a phrase that I often use myself, that we needed a new world order.
About what the Clinton administration's foreign policy will be, what this so-called new world order will look like.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order.
George Bush has invoked a new world order without enunciating a new American purpose.
We all talk about a new world order.
It is a big idea, a new world order.
A new world order, a new set of challenges is confronting us, both domestically and abroad.
The historic role in trying to make sure that there is, after all, a new world order.
And today that new world is struggling to be born. A world quite different from the one we've known.
I believe we, and particularly you, your class, has an incredible window of opportunity to lead in shaping a new world order.
So folks, if you're not scared by now, then you can't be scared of anything. The time bomb is ticking.
Out of these troubled times, our fifth objective, a new world order, can emerge, a new era.
This is the world you are graduating into.
And the phenomenal opportunities before us to create a real new world order.
The world communist system wants us destroyed.
When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order.
Just to be clear, if the Electoral College votes for Joe Biden, will you concede?
Well, if they do, they made a mistake, because this election was a fraud. Just so you understand, this election was a fraud.
Well, now the President of the United States is literally embracing a deranged conspiracy theory that millions of votes were changed using software.
They rigged the election, and now, based on the rigged election, they're destroying our country.
There was no collusion, no grand conspiracy. Virtually every case was about an individual trying to cast an extra ballot.
The November 3rd election was the most secure in American history.
This is a fraud on the American public.
What evidence does the public have that indicates the 2020 U.S. presidential election was rigged? How was it stolen? And by whom? Who are the chief conspirators in the so-called deep state? What are their allegiances? And how have they evaded prosecution thus far? Are the walls of justice finally closing in on America's most prolific crime families? This video series has been adapted tightly from the research of Patel Patriot.
And so if you're the President of the United States and the Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces, and you know your opponent's going to steal an election, You're almost derelict in your duty if you don't do something to stop it.
Since July 2nd, 2021, his viral article series, Devolution, has explored the legitimacy of Joseph Biden's presidency. Patel Patriot has largely devoted his Substack to questioning the possibility of white hats in the intelligence and military sectors of our government, shifting into a legal process of removing the commander-in-chief from his position as a last resort to save the republic from a coup, a process known as devolution. The Devolution series seldomly descends into conjecture or opinion. It avoids hearsay from anonymous sources. Rather, it weaves together publicly available and verified data points to support the hypothesis that history is in the making as Titanic events transpire behind the scenes. Out of respect for the author of this article series, this video series will stick very closely to the original text, only making minor adjustments for the sake of clarity, relevance, or time's sake.
And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted, and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted.
This is going to be a fraud like you've never seen.
Is devolution occurring in the United States?
It is now my great privilege and high honor to be the first person to officially introduce the 46th President of the United States, Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
As law and order erodes exponentially in the United States, the American public is rapidly awakening to the communist infiltration of its criminal justice system, its news and entertainment media, its intelligence community, its military-industrial complex, and its public schools.
Schools around the country have become ground zero for pushing back against this woke indoctrination. It is quite disgusting.
The extent of the malignancy is underpinned by traitorous politicians, megalomaniacal intellectuals, and radical public figures who seek to destroy the Constitution, the democratic republic formulated by our founding fathers, traditional American values, and by extension the nuclear family and Judeo-Christianity.
Portland was burning. It was on fire. This has been well documented. It just hasn't been broadcast in the mainstream media.
These turncoats have progressed their agenda through a variety of methods. Chiefly among them is the employment of false flag events, disinformation, distraction, suppression, omission, projection, bribery, intimidation, and subversion.
When the Soviets used the phrase ideological subversion, what do they mean by it?
What it basically means is to change the perception of reality of every American to such an extent that despite of the abundance of information, no one is able to come to sensible conclusions in the interests of defending themselves, their families, their community, and their country. It's a great brainwashing process which goes very slow, and it's divided in 4 basic stages. The first one being demoralization. It takes from 15 to 20 years to demoralize a nation. Why that many years? Because this is the minimum number of years which requires to educate one generation of students exposed to the ideology of the enemy. In other words, Marxism-Leninism ideology is being pumped into the soft heads of at least 3 generations of American students without being challenged or counterbalanced by the basic values of Americanism. The next stage is destabilization. This time, and it takes only from 2 to 5 years to destabilize a nation, what matters is essentials: economy, foreign relations, defense systems. The next stage, of course, is crisis. It may take only up to 6 weeks to bring a country to the verge of crisis. And after crisis, with a violent change of power, structure, and economy, you have so-called the period of normalization. It may last indefinitely. Normalization is a cynical expression borrowed from Soviet propaganda. When the Soviet tanks moved into Czechoslovakia in '68, Comrade Brezhnev said, "Now the situation in brotherly Czechoslovakia is normalized." This is what will happen in the United States if you allow all these schmucks to bring the country to crisis.
If you look objectively at Trump's handling of China, his policies were pro-American rather than the pro-China approach of previous administrations. In August of 2017, he directed the Office of the United States Trade Representative to investigate Chinese economic practices.
We will safeguard the copyrights, patents, trademarks, trade secrets, and other intellectual property that is so vital to our security and to our prosperity.
Their subsequent report attacked many aspects of China's monetary policy.
President Trump imposed new tariffs on $200 billion worth of Chinese imports to the U.S.
Trump began imposing tariffs on Chinese products, referencing, quote, a trade deficit of $500 billion a year with intellectual property theft of another $300 billion. These tariffs led to a trade war that culminated in the Phase 1 trade deal signing on January 15th of 2020. The very next day, Trump's impeachment trial in the Senate began. Think back to August 2019.
The president said, I said, call him.
The pressure is building on the Biden family for their ties to Ukraine and China.
You're not getting the billion. I'm going to be leaving here. I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
It almost feels like Durham would drop the hammer any day on the Obama administration for Spygate. The whistleblower comes forward with the quid pro quo accusation, and an impeachment inquiry in the House of Representatives is underway.
It's a scam. It's a big scam.
However, with a Republican majority in the Senate and no evidence of a quid pro quo, everybody knows the president will be acquitted.
You have a kangaroo court headed by Little Shifty Schiff.
The America First platform Trump campaigned on was working. The economy was booming. He was winning the trade war with China. None of the scandals thrown at him had stuck. He was unscathed through impeachment. Along with the other two most significant threats to America, Democrats and the media, China was desperate to get Trump out of office.
They're using this impeachment hoax for their own political gain.
China favored a Biden presidency, and as found on Hunter Biden's laptop, they would have an equity stake in the Biden administration. Although the fake polls said otherwise, the Democrats appeared to have little chance in 2020. The momentum was palpable. The only way the Democrats would be able to win the election was to steal it.
I'm really happy with the job we're doing, and I'm glad that this team and me are here for this horrible thing. I mean, it's a number of people have said it, and I feel it, actually. I'm a wartime president. This is a war.
How convenient that COVID-19 would present them such an opportunity.
It's COVID. You can't watch anything else. On November 4th, you won't be hearing so much about it.
What's his closing argument? That people are too focused on COVID. He said this at one of his rallies. COVID, he's complaining. He's jealous of COVID's media coverage.
You can decide for yourself whether the leak was intentional or not. But what did President Donald J. Trump himself say?
You see it with the stock market, where the stock market's at 24,000, and we went through the worst attack we've ever had on our country. This is really the worst attack we've ever had. This is worse than Pearl Harbor. This is worse than the World Trade Center. There's never been an attack like this, and it should have never happened.
You want to know what's at the heart and soul of every American? They believe their vote counts. And now you want to tell them that's not true? But what?
But the results of the election will be wrong. One candidate will win because of computer error.
He will?
Yes.
How do we know that?
I'm telling you.
Based on what? Guessing. Listen, this is your project, Eleanor. If you want to tinker with it for future elections, it's not only your prerogative, I encourage you. The Delacroix voting system is your baby. You're a perfectionist. Bless your heart. I support you 100%. You want to make it more perfect. But Do it alone and with an eye to the future, because it is the future that interests us, now as the past.
Everything about the election of 2020 was controversial. Sitting presidents don't gain votes and not get reelected. Obama had 3 million less votes and was reelected with a total of almost 66 million votes. Trump gained almost 12 million votes and lost with a total of over 74 million votes.
I mean, they have Biden beating Obama on Obama's vote in areas that mattered in terms of the election, in swing states. And yet he's losing to Obama all over the place. But he's beating Obama in swing states, which are the states that mattered for purposes of the election.
It was evident COVID-19 was a pretext for mass numbers of mail-in voting. Jerry Nadler once said, "Mail-in ballots are extremely susceptible to fraud." Local Democrat officials and rhinos unconstitutionally changed election laws in swing states to create more mail-in voting. Trump saw this coming a mile away.
This is the greatest scam in the history of politics, I think, and I'm talking about beyond our nation.
According to BBC, U.S. President Donald Trump has warned his fellow Republicans their opponents may steal November's election, as his party anointed him as their candidate. They're using COVID to defraud the American people, Mr. Trump told delegates on the first day of the party convention in North Carolina. He repeated an untrue claim that mail-in ballots could lead to voter fraud. An unprecedented number of Americans are expected to vote by mail as a result of the coronavirus pandemic.
I mean, I think clearly there have been anomalies. There's been problems with accepting these 80 million mailed out ballots. That was the Democrat strategy. They said, we're going to hold up this election. We think there's going to be a red mirage where it looks like Trump wins. We're going to be counting for months. And even if he looks like he wins, we will not accept his inauguration. We are going to have our own inauguration. That's what John Podesta said to the New York Times. All that went on. As soon as Trump has a problem, he says, I'm going to challenge this. Oh, it's terrible. It's crazy.
At the first presidential debate, Biden said he would accept the election outcome, but only after all the votes are counted. That could take some time.
According to The Hill, President Trump on Monday further cast doubt on the U.S. election process. It follows months of Trump claiming without evidence that widespread mail-in voting during the coronavirus pandemic would invite fraud into the election.
The only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Remember that. It's the only way we're going to lose this election. So we have to be very careful.
There are thousands of examples out there just like these, and even a few prior to 2020.
If people mail in ballots, there's a lot of illegality. When you do all mail-in voting ballots, you're asking for fraud.
In fact, President Trump expressed skepticism of election integrity as far back as November 6, 2012, when he tweeted, "More reports of voting machines switching Romney votes to Obama. Pay close attention to the machines, and don't let your vote be stolen." According to CNN, President-elect Donald Trump alleged Sunday, without evidence, that millions of people voted illegally for Hillary Clinton, and otherwise he would have won the popular vote. It's an unprecedented allegation by a president-elect. Trump won the Electoral College and thus the White House, but the Democratic nominee leads him in the popular vote by about 2 million ballots. In addition to winning the Electoral College in a landslide, I won the popular vote if you deduct the millions of people who voted illegally, Trump tweeted. So what do you do as a president when you know fraudulent activity runs rampant through our federal elections? You take action. On May 11, 2017, Trump established the Presidential Advisory Commission on Election Integrity. Section 3 outlines the mission of the commission. The commission shall, consistent with applicable law, study the registration and voting processes used in federal elections. The commission shall be solely advisory and shall submit a report to the president that identifies the following: those vulnerabilities in voting systems and practices used for federal elections that could lead to improper voter registrations and improper voting, including fraudulent voter registrations and fraudulent voting. In September of 2018, Trump signed an executive order imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. 2 months later, he created the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. According to the agency's official website, on November 16, 2018, the president signed into law the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency Act of 2018. This act elevates the mission of the former Department of Homeland Security National Protection and Programs Directorate and establishes the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. CISA is responsible for protecting the nation's critical infrastructure from physical and cyber threats, a mission that requires effective coordination and collaboration among a broad spectrum of government and private sector organizations. The following month, in December of 2019, Trump created the Space Force. Trump was proactively taking steps to deter an election theft. The Devolution series outlines exactly how President Donald Trump used all the legal powers available to him as President of the United States and Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces to defeat the election theft. Donald Trump initiated a real continuity of government plan and left office on January 20th, but his return is imminent. The concept of devolution is fundamental and part of the government's top-secret continuity of government plans. Newsweek published an article in 2020 that discussed devolution in depth. While the report presents devolution in the context of the pandemic, it still provides enough detail to prove that devolution exists and was a topic explored by Trump. According to Newsweek, above top-secret contingency plans already exist for what the military is supposed to do if all the constitutional successors are incapacitated. Standby orders were issued more than 3 weeks ago to ready these plans, not just to protect Washington, but also to prepare for the possibility of some form of martial law. According to new documents and interviews with military experts, the various plans, codenamed Octagon, Freejack, and Zodiac, are the underground laws to ensure government continuity. They are so secret that under these extraordinary plans, devolution could circumvent the normal constitutional provisions for government succession, and military commanders could be placed in control around America. The article was published on March 18, 2020, and claims, quote, "Standby orders were issued more than 3 weeks ago to ready these plans." That means in February of 2020, Trump had ordered the military to review and prepare the continuity of government plans. The timeline of this is essential. Note this Washington Post article regarding a fringe theory regarding COVID-19 being thrown around by Senator Tom Cotton, and notice the date of February 17th, 2020. Quote, "We don't know where it originated, and we have to get to the bottom of that," Cotton said. "We also know that just a few miles away from that food market is China's only biosafety level 4 super laboratory that researches human infectious diseases."
The only coronavirus we have is in Wuhan. Yes. Where they have a lab called, what's the lab called again, Stephen?
The Wuhan Novel Coronavirus Lab.
I believe that's the case.
Mystery surrounds the high-security lab at the Wuhan Institute of Virology that handles the world's most dangerous pathogens, making it the target of conspiracy theories about the origin of the virus.
A theory stating the virus originated from a biosafety lab pops up around the same time Trump is ordering the military to prepare continuity of government plans.
So you're 100% confident there was no leak, no accident?
I'm confident there's no leak.
100%?
100%.
Today we know that this theory is almost certainly true. It's safe to assume military intelligence was all over this at the time, even though Trump didn't publicly state that he had seen evidence that the virus came from the lab until May 1st, 2020.
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China.
That's why.
According to CBS, asked if Trump had seen anything giving him a high degree of confidence that the Wuhan Institute of Virology was the source of the outbreak, the president replied, "Yes, I have."
Joining us now is the military commander leading the mission. He is U.S. NORTHCOM Commander General Terrence O'Shaughnessy from the NORTHCOM Command Center. I'll warn you ahead of time. We got a 3-second delay between us, but what he has to say is so important. General, thanks for being here. What does it mean to you to serve your country in your country, as opposed to going on humanitarian efforts around the world?
Well, Brian, I've been all over the world doing all sorts of different campaigns, but there is nothing more sacred than being right here at home defending the homeland. And when we're not fighting the virus, our mission here, right from Colorado Springs, is to defend our nation. And we view this, our Commander-in-Chief has declared a war on COVID-19. We're part of that as the whole of nation, whole of America approach, and we're incredibly proud to be part of that mission. But we're going to be where the nation needs us to be. We're bringing medical capability, but we're also looking to see what are the other things that we might be able to bring to this fight.
Christoph, let me ask you, why do you think that Truman has never come close to discovering the true nature of his world until now?
We accept the reality of the world with which we're presented. It's as simple as that.
There is so much disinformation still surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic, and that is by design. Was it an accident? Was it a bioweapon? Depending on the platform you use, you may not even be allowed to ask those questions. However, the answer to those questions is key to the devolution theory because it was the launching pad for the theft of the 2020 election and ultimately the pretext for Trump having our military prepare for devolution. President Trump, with assistance from the United States military, caught our foreign adversaries aiding the Democrats with the theft of an election. This is bigger than just mere corruption and scandal. This is war. They let Biden assume office, but it doesn't mean anything. If devolution is occurring, any damage done can and will be reversed. Their time in office will only lead to more people wanting Trump back. Biden has no meaningful operational control over the military, and they won't let any real harm come to us while the battlefield is being prepped for whatever reveal is coming.
What's going on, John? Yes, we have sworn oath to defend this Constitution, and we're going to do exactly that. Hear me out. Right now, I am stationed in California, not by the active military. Understand that much. That being said, I say that to say this. I am working overtime, as well as many others. There are things lined up. There are plans in place. There are also contingency plans to include a contingency plan for that. In layman's terms, that means a backup plan. That being said, I'm here in California right now with like-minded individuals, and I have been working overtime behind the scenes, so we are moving in silence, understand that. It's almost go time, and you guys will know, I promise you that, but we will get the word out. Stay safe and God bless, and love you guys from Southern California.
I want to know why what happened in Myanmar can't happen here.
No reason. I mean, it should happen here. No reason. But that's right.
We are in a completely unprecedented situation. We need to step back and review everything that has happened since the release of COVID. Our enemies conspired to attack the USA with a bioweapon to steal an election with one of our political parties.
So, the time for waiting is over. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
That is the actual coup.
If it becomes necessary to get yet another boost, then we'll just have to deal with it when that occurs.
Regardless of whether devolution is occurring, the calamity and insanity we are witnessing on the world stage, particularly since the premeditated release of COVID-19 and the subsequent authoritarian lockdowns indicate that society is in the throes of an information war. Throughout this series, we will investigate extensive corruption related to the communist coup occurring in America and what kind of future we may be barreling towards. Now, roughly 10 years after the mythologically significant date of December 21st, 2012, it seems like palpable changes in awareness are finally occurring globally. Perhaps the cabal's desperate push for a new world order is exactly what Earth needs to catalyze a planetary unification event, not the kind that the dark occultists desire. Rather, we are being presented with the opportunity for all points on the political compass to recognize our common enemy and work together in love as one race and one people. Rapid authoritarian expansion is certainly galvanizing the political initiation of millions of formerly disinterested citizens. If only we can act intelligently as one planet to snuff out the deep state, malevolent secret societies, and the elite criminal syndicates pulling the strings of our institutions, then perhaps we stand a chance at peace on Earth and traveling the stars.
For those worried and afraid, please know as long as I am your president, you can feel confident that you have a leader who will always fight for you, and I will not stop until we win. This will be a great victory. This is going to be a victory. And it's going to be a victory that, in my opinion, will happen much sooner than originally expected.